particularly important when it comes to our view and our opinions and our judgments, which in a sense are always, that's the dual. It always is splitting us in some way. And I know that somehow, there is I'm going to say something that's there's no really right or wrong. So I think ultimately, when there is this power to see that, there is this possibility of seeing that there is a harmony that exists, and we can either acknowledge and recognize it, and with that, a sense of ease or the lack of anxiety and that truth of non-perfection is just there, And to me, then there is the possibility that we can then say proper things and take proper action. This is from the Bidiwala of Bombay, Nisargadatta, and he has this book, I Am That, When you know beyond all doubting that the same life flows through all that is you, you are that life. You will love all naturally and spontaneously. When you realize the depth and fullness of your love of yourself, you know that every living being and the entire universe are included in your affection. But when you look at anything as separate from you, you cannot love it, for you are afraid of it. Alienation causes fear, and fear deepens alienation. It is a vicious circle. Only self-realization can break it. And go for that resolutely. I was looking at things that over the years, I have so many years of different little things, but this was acronyms for fear, and false evidence appearing real. Fudge everything and run. Face everything and recover. My little acronyms, I thought they were, I hadn't seen that for years. I just went, oh, that's, yeah. Because we're fearful creatures. Whenever we, things we don't know. And I hope one of the teachings here is that you learn to relax into not knowing, And if you have that, I don't know, then you kind of open yourself to the fact that this is a mystery being here. And I would say here in California, this has been I'm usually not here this time of year. I'm off in some other part of the world. And being here, this has been the most remarkable summer, and I should knock on wood, I guess, there's been no fires and no this or that, and just beautiful, And even if it wasn't, it's also how we're choosing to live our lives. And I know, we have all, there's all these different situations happening where people, this is the world. There's a lot of suffering, and sometimes someone wants to send a little to you, extra, And it's true that, sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. But at the same time, if you can teach yourself, I don't have to react to that. I can simply sit back and, where is my freedom? Is my freedom in trying to solve that and, defend myself or, say, oh, no, that's not true about me or whatever it is. All those are the attempt for solutions. And what I'm trying to advocate here is that there is this possibility, and the possibility is when the mind It's not that it isn't so from one angle. I'm not saying it isn't, but you also can choose. And if you can choose, okay, the wisdom factor here is that if I can teach myself to let go of it, to actually, when I was talking in the sitting, that is there some way that I can allow, it's so interesting because really our whole game is between the foreground and the background. And when we come to awareness in these practices, we put more attention on the awareness in the foreground. But a lot of times our lives are just, the background comes rushing in as a feeling or emotion or a memory or a plan, and it occupies the foreground. And here we're saying, okay, and I'm not saying, because I think sometimes people think, oh, if I sit, I'll get rid of thinking. No, you will not get rid of thinking. That's not the purpose. The purpose here is to not give it fuel, not to add to it, so that it can gently move back into the background. And you can change what your experience of the present is like. And it's true, sometimes I know I've had some pretty tough times in my life where the foreground was pretty exciting or pretty scary or pretty ridiculous. And that's going to happen because in this world, you're not given a free pass. You actually have to show up for some pretty, sometimes not such easy things. But you also have a choice of how to do it, And you can do it through, trying to outthink it or, send a letter or solve it on some level. And I'm not saying that isn't, sometimes parts of that is necessary. But it's also, are you free? And I always ask this question myself, am I just caught up in something and I'm not giving myself permission to see that I have a choice? And I believe I don't have a choice. And what I'm saying here is you always have a choice. And it's really choosing how do you want to spend your time? Do you want to be caught up in that old story? Or do you want to be, wrangling with the politics or the amount of human stupidity that seems to be present a lot of our time, So I don't know. I just keep wondering, where are we, with all this? Because it's just two things, One is there is this ultimate practice, and it's really the wisdom of letting go, of saying, no, I don't need to inhabit that or add to it. And I'm not saying some, because wisdom is interesting. Sometimes it means that there has to be some necessity for certain actions. But the question is, how do you act? Are you acting out of fear or out of resentment or revenge or anger, or are you acting out of, no, this is actually the wise thing, is responsible to take this action because I see that it's the proper thing to do, and I'm not, I know results are not in my court, and that's all. And I know you go, oh, well, this is all nice talk, John, but the thing is, I know, over my life, I know these things work, and it takes, what is it, really a lot of love and care, and this possibility of giving yourself time, which I think is a marvelous thing when you kind of, instead of reacting, kind of sit on something and you know, don't say anything. You know, the power of sometimes being quiet and having patience is a huge gift because it gives the human time to kind of settle out and find out that when there's not a problem, that we kind of roll along, but when there is a problem, we can also choose, and hopefully choose in a way that we don't get caught and create more, but actually have this capacity to stop and to listen and see that ultimately when the patience is there, the intelligence is there. And that when the intelligence is there, there is a sense of faith and also there is a sense of care. So I'm going to open it up to some questions, but I'm going to, being on that Taoist kind of view, I'm going to read to you a fun piece. You know, it's called Bugs in a Bowl by David Bugbill. Han Shan, that great, crazy, wonder-filled Chinese poet of 1,000 years ago said, "We're just like bugs in a bowl, all day going around, never leaving their bowl." I say, that's right, every day climbing up the steep side, sliding back, over and over again, around and around, up and back down. Sit in the bottom of the bowl, head in your hands, cry, moan, feel sorry for yourself. Or look around, see your fellow bugs, walk around, say, "Hey, how you doing?" Say, "Nice bowl." So you have questions? And let's see, Jen, you'll